Hi everybody, welcome to another Rex Picks. Today I'm going to be doing my review of Boom, the G.I. Joe classified figure Cobra Commander in battle armor. Now, he wasn't my favorite version of Cobra Commander, but I still always liked this version. I always thought this was a neat concept of him actually being in a full-blown battle armor, opposed to the military suit, either with the hood or the helmet. So I'm kind of curious to what they actually do with this figure. So first thing I want to mention is my membership program. So for $2 a month, you get a lot of cool stuff like, the blooper reels. You also get behind the scenes, even little tips on how to do certain things with action figures and other stuff. So go ahead and check that out. And without any further ado, roll that intro. So here he is in packaging. You got your standard classified packaging. So you got Cobra, his name. You got this window here that shows him, all his accessories. The Cobra logo, G.I. Joe classified, choking hazard, age restriction, and Hasbro. Come around here. You get some artwork. This is pretty cool. I do like this art. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's good for what it is. G.I. Joe, 168. Come around here, get a good look at the figure, some of his accessories, and your legal underneath. All right. After that, you got his stats, his number, your QR code, and G.I. Joe. Come around here. You got your Cobra logo and legal. And his number. And then underneath, you got your legal and SKU. So, with all that being said, let's open him up and see what he's about. Okay, so here he is out of packaging. Now, the first thing we're going to do is go through his points of articulation. So the head does move. You get a shoulder joint, but it doesn't move very well because you got this piece of armor here. There it goes. Okay, so you can move that up so the shoulder works. So I do like that. You get your swivel, your elbow joint. Oh, man, that's tight. That's really tight. All right. And your wrist joint. Now, you may want to use some heat on this. I'm not liking how tight that is. That's almost like on the verge of breaking tight. All right, so see, this elbow works a lot better. That other one, I may have to put in some heat because I'm not liking how tight that is. All right, so you got a joint here underneath the ribs. You got one at the hips. You got a thigh joint with a swivel. All right, you got a knee joint. And you got an ankle joint. Now, most of your Joe classified figures usually have a joint in here. And I guess due to the way how his leg is molded, I guess they just weren't able to put that joint in there, or they're trying to cut costs and give them less joints. I don't know, but normally there is a joint there. So overall, other than that one elbow, everything seems to want to move pretty well on him. So now let's start looking at his finer details. So first off, let's look at the head sculpt. Now this head sculpt is based off of the cartoon, not the original American Hero one, but the one that came after that most people didn't watch because it wasn't as good. And you could tell because he has like serpent style eyes, because what happened was somehow, some way, they were able to transform him back into like a serpent man from being a snake, after being transformed by the Globulus and Cobra Law. So with this figure, they gave him the snake eyes. All right, give him the rotation. Like how the hose comes down the side. All right. And then you do this side here. And back around to the front. Okay. I like the armor. I like how the armor looks on him. Got this hose coming off the side. You got the Cobra logo on his belt buckle. the leg armor and everything. So all that looks pretty good. Come around to this side. All right, you can see the detail under his arm. Bring the shoulder down. Now you can see all the detail in the arm. I do like that a lot. Come around here. Got the back. Over here, you can see the holster underneath his arm and the hose. And then back around to the front. So overall, he isn't a bad looking figure. So I looked at this elbow a little bit closer here. I don't know if I could get this scene on screen, but it looks like there's a defect with my figure, that somehow, some way, this elbow is fused together. Maybe they got glue in there or paint or something dried in there. So I may have to mess around with that a little bit. I did get some movement in this arm. All right. So I don't know if anybody else has had that issue with it, but this arm bends fine. No issues with that. It might just be a factory defect. If you do have this figure, let me know if you're having the same problems with that arm or not. So we're going to keep on going with this figure. So now let's start looking at his accessories. So first off, he has the alternate head with the human eyes in it opposed to the reptilian eyes. All right, you have a pointing hand. You know, every Cobra Commander needs a pointing hand. Okay, you have two closed fists. You have one. And you do have two. All right. He has his gun, which is very much like how the one looked with the original figure. And yes, it does have a hole in the front for blast effects. He has the backpack. All right. And last but not least, he comes with a little lizard. Now, apparently, this is supposed to be Serpentor. Somehow, some way, he got changed into a lizard. How? I don't know. Like I said, unfortunately, I didn't really follow that particular series very close. You know, the legs move on this. But, so now you got the Serpentor lizard. So let's look and see how well all this works with him. So first, we're going to swap the heads out. All right, that came off pretty easily. There we go. So the head swapped out very easily. Not an issue there. We're going to put his backpack on. All right. Boom. That's on there too. All right, that works. Now we're going to put his gun in his hand. Let's see how well this thing works in here. All right. All right, so that works fine with that. All right, now let's put that in its holster. Put this arm up. There we go. So that fits in there. Now let's start swapping some hands out. All right. This closed fist. And this one. All right, so both closed fists work with him. No issues. And then last but not least, you got to have the pointing hand, which is actually this one here. Whoops. There we go. Gun fell out of its holster. And boom. So now you got the pointing hand. So everything works pretty good with him. No issues with the accessories. Okay, so let's get into my final thoughts with him. So first off, most of his joints move very well. I had a lot of problems with his elbow. I believe it's a factory defect. I don't think it was meant to be that way. I just think it's a factory defect on my figure. If you do have this figure, this particular Cobra Commander, and you're having the same issues, please leave a comment because I want to know whether or not this is just a factory foul up or if it's actually something that is common with this figure. But I'm personally at the moment think it's just a factory foul. It happens at times. All right. Next off, all his accessories swapped out very easily with him. No issues with any of that. And overall, he looks good. He definitely captures the look from the original G.I. Joe American Hero line. So I do like the overall look to him. So would I recommend this figure? Yes, I would. I think he's a great looking figure. Like I said, the battle armor wasn't my favorite. The actual helmet Cobra Commander was, then the hooded, and then this one would probably come after it. So he at least makes my top 3 favorite Cobra Commanders. You know, the one thing I did like about this figure always is that he was a unique look to Cobra. It wasn't the standard Cobra Commander in some sort of military dress uniform with some sort of head covering, whether it be a helmet, hood, or whatever. So I feel like he was a unique take on the Cobra Commander character. I can't really fault this figure for the issue with the elbow, just because at this moment I just feel like it's a factory defect, and unfortunately these things do happen. So other than that, probably the only other thing I would have liked to have seen come with this figure is another alternate head. So in the comic books, this Cobra Commander wasn't the real Cobra Commander. He was actually, I think it was one of the Crimson Guard, if I remember right, posing as Cobra Commander. You know, and eventually in the comics there was a reveal. He gets the helmet off, and you find out, hey, wow, this ain't the real Cobra Commander. So I think I would have liked that alternative head to come with him as well. I think that would have been a really nice nod to the comics. So with all that being said, first thing I want to do is give a shout out to some people who really helped this channel. First on that list is Byron Bassett and his alter ego Humongous. He does a lot of things for the channel that really helps. Plus he's a big supporter of it. And he does have his own YouTube channel. So, and show that he does every Sunday. So go ahead and check out his information in the description. Next on that list is Action Figure Geeks. They're a Reddit channel that I'm part of. They also support this channel. Go ahead and check out their information in the description. And most of all, I want to thank everybody who's been watching my videos, who've been subscribing, liking, and all that. I really appreciate all of you. You don't know how much you are helping this channel. I really appreciate every one of you. And to follow up with that, I ask that everybody checks out my G.I. Joe playlist and my membership program. Plus hit that like, share, and subscribe. They're all small clicks for you, but it really helps this channel grow. So until the next one, late.